Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back with another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should, which is a bit of a special episode thanks to my friend Dmitry in Russia. I'm just going to open my notes here so I don't forget anything important. Right, so first up, we're going to talk about 5 bands which were all sent to me really kindly by, like I say, Dmitry from Russia. I don't believe any of these are his bands from what he said, so my guess is what has happened is he has rounded up some cool Russian and, in one case, Belarusian band. I don't know if he's got the band to donate stuff or bought it with his own money, but either way, what a total diehard to do such a thing, just so some idiot over in the other side of Europe can talk about heavy metal from Russia. But, you know, this is what we love to see in the underground. First up, we have Gosudar, I believe is how you'd say that. And what's really cool is the inlay inside. This is signed by the band, so you know, he's clearly gone to some trouble to send this stuff to me. And this was the first thing I played as a bit more of a vinyl maniac, as I love CDs and tapes too, but this, you know, the artwork instantly caught me. The band photo, this guy in the middle here with a Spectral Voice shirt, that always says it's going to be something I like, and I stick this on and it's just really cool death metal. It's just somewhere between the Finnish kind of bands, like Demigod and Pertinence, stuff like that, but with this really ferocious sound, so much gloom. So only just over half an hour, but in that time they get a lot of atmosphere, and I was just like, I can't believe I've never heard this, but spoiler alert, this is very likely going to be on my albums of the year list, and it completely passed me by, but that's on Rotted Life, really cool label. Sadly, that stuff's hard to get here in the UK. Next, he sent me 3 CDs of this band, who it was apparently another band. I'd never heard any of these bands, bar the next one I'm going to talk about, by the way. So this guy clearly knows his underground. But this is an interesting one with a name, Hieronymus Bosch, I believe is how you say that. Sorry if I got that wrong. And as you can tell by the artwork, they're quite a unique band. He sent me all 3 of their albums. I'm just going to get the other 2. I try and pick one release. But just to show you, here are the other 2. So they have 3 albums, but this one was the first one which I personally liked the most. I think all 3 are really cool, really different, but it reminded me of Gorguts, kind of weirder stuff, some of the kind of more progressive death stuff, not overly so to the point of being a prog metal record. It's still very much a death metal record, but with just really weird songwriting. Demilich would be another point of comparison, I think. But yeah, really interesting band, apparently quite a long-running death metal band, and I'd never heard of them. So yeah, really cool jam of Russian death metal history. Now is the one band that I did know, which is Cist, because this one came out on Redefining Darkness and Reaper Metal. So Reaper and Thomas, if you're watching, you know, this is a cool release. Now, what Cist play is more Death-Thrash. It's definitely death metal, but, you know, inspired more by bands like Necrovore and Possessed, and like the South American bands, of course. Early Morbid Angel. It's just a really cool old school death metal spirit. It's a 5-track EP with some bonus tracks. Again, this was the other one he managed to get signed, so I'm assuming these bands are friends of Dmitry, perhaps. But yeah, I'm really glad to get this one. I've been meaning to buy this off Reaper or Thomas for a little bit, so yeah, really cool little EP here. Just true death thrash the old school way. Now here's another band, again, surprise, surprise, for this video, I'd never heard of, which is Unlucky Buried, which is a slightly broken English Russian band name, which is what we like to see from bands from other parts of the world. I always quite like it when there's small mistakes in grammar and stuff. I don't know, there's a charm to it, like, of course, the infamous Sarcophago lyrics and stuff like that. There's just something that feels mystical about that to me. I don't know, I'm too sentimental. Anyway, these guys play some kind of brutal death metal, more in the vein of like Suffocation, Dying Fetus, Cannibal Corpse, like not the kind of, I'm not really into slam stuff at all, so hence why you've probably never seen me talk about it on this channel to my recollection. But no, this is the kind of good, gritty, swampy, kind of exploding heads kind of stuff. I don't have tons of this kind of stuff, but when I enjoy it, and this was a good one. So yeah, I dig that one too. As a rule, I dig everything I talk about on this channel, because I listen to far too much music to spend time talking about stuff I don't like, to be frank. You know, if I included all the stuff I didn't like, I'd never move from this chair, which isn't very comfortable. But anyway, now we have Anotherside, and I completely forgot to note down which band was Belarusian, but I'm fairly sure it's this one. And if it's not, then I'm an idiot, and I'm very sorry. But Anotherside, now this is more Black and Death. It's an interesting sound. It's again quite gloomy like the first one, but in a more kind of yeah, in sort of almost like the Swedish Black and Death kind of thing of the sort of mid-90s. It's got a very dark, grim sound, but it's also got some very... It's quite bombastic and in your face. It's a really good album, or EP even. It's sort of in that weird middle ground, I guess, like an E... Oh, it says EP on it, so that's what it is. But yeah, Anotherside, really cool band. At first I thought it would be Anotherside with a C as in like deicide, as in to kill, but no, it is just Anotherside as one word, for those curious. I have, at the request and popular demand, started putting not just band names, but also subgenres in the description for anyone who finds that helpful. You can go and find that there. Now, that is the end of our Eastern European onslaught. So once again, a massive thanks to Dmitry, true maniac, trying to get some bands from his corner of the world well known. If you, you know, if I've not talked about enough bands from your country, you know, I'm only so good at discovering bands. I do my best, but you know, some countries it's very hard to get stuff to the UK. So if you want to tell me about a band, it could be your own or your friends. I have a submission form on my on the Natskog website, or just send me an email. I can't check everything out I get sent. I'm not saying that to be arrogant, but if I get sent 60 things in a day, I have my own bands, this channel, my site, my zine, and I just like listening to my own records. So I only check out so much, and that's just because I'd love to have 1 million hours in a day, but if I don't respond, I'm not being arrogant. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just because it's like a needle in a haystack with what I'm currently doing. But no, do feel free to contact me. I will do my best to get back to people. I'll do my best to check stuff out. If I dig it, I'll support it. But yeah, you know, if it's a friend's band or just something you think is cool, or leave a comment, whatever. Anyway, I can't shut my mouth today, apparently. But here we have Lvcifyre, a band I'm amazed I've not actually talked about yet. This one was the previous album on Dark Descent. I haven't actually got around to buying their new one yet. It's on my mental to-do list, which is a very long list when it comes to buying records, as you might guess. But Lvcifyre is a London-based black and death metal band, sort of in the same camp of bands as Grave Miasma, Adoria, Cruciamentum, those kinds of bands, which have that gritty, mystical, occult kind of sound. Now, Lvcifyre probably goes furthest into just pure death metal, which there's still some black and some thrash in the sound, Craven Idol being another example of those bands. But Lvcifyre is probably the most typically death metal of the bunch. It's just, this is one hell of a record. Anything graced by the art of Timo Kotola is reliably something good. I've not heard a bad record with his artwork, to my recollection. But yeah, Lvcifyre is just that pure occult death metal that sounds so evil and so heavy. And probably all of you guys know this band by now because the new album is rightfully making its circuits on everyone's lists and this and that. But I'm going to talk about them. And yeah, check out Lvcifyre. Check out the new album as well. This is Sun Eater, which I think is a bit of a modern classic, especially here in Europe. And now for something completely different, we have Ranger. Now, all of you guys will probably know, I think I've been talking maybe a bit more about traditional and speed and stuff like that, and it's not a case of I've only got into it more recently as my very, very first heavy metal bands when I was, you know, in middle school and hearing it from, like, friends, older brothers and stuff were heavy metal bands, not black or death metal bands. But with a lot of the obscure 80s stuff and stuff like Ranger here, who played killer speed metal, just the old school way, I did not realise until maybe the last 3-4 years how much good stuff there is, and I've been managing to get some of it. And Ranger, this album Where Evil Dwells, is a perfect example of just old school speed metal done the exact right way from a bunch of Finnish maniacs who just play blisteringly fast, evil sounding music. It's a really fun record. It's not stupid, it's not gimmicky, it's just true heavy speed metal. Now we have a couple bits from Everlasting Spew. So thank you kindly to Tito and Giorgio for sending me these things. well, I actually bought the new Burial album, but I've talked about Burial before. But one of the lovely things they sent me as a gift was the new Devoid of Thought album, which those who read my review will know I really like. If you're a fan of bands like Time Ghoul, Blood Incantation, Demolish, the really kind of cosmic bands, Cosmic Putrefaction, fucking hell, I'll just choke myself out on screen. YouTube, please don't. Oh yeah, I'm not monetized. That's okay. Devoid of Thought is just really cool. It's technical and progressive, but it's not in a way that feels like they're just going, hey, look, we can play guitar really, really, really well. It's, hey, we can make cosmic death metal really, really, really well while playing guitar really, really, really well. And Everlasting Spew is a really consistent label out of Italy, and this is just a great release, and very kind of them to send me this. And Metaphobic, which for fans of bands like Incantation, Imprecation, the like sort of slowish death metal bands from the United States, I think this will really appeal. 3-track demo, just in like a cardboard sleeve thingy, but it's not the packaging, it's the sound that I care about, and it's a really good sound. I'm going to keep an eye out for Metaphobic, because this demo has got promising for something better in the, well, bigger at least in the future in terms of hopefully more music. So yeah, thanks for sending me these. If you're not familiar with the new Burial album, check it out, it's great, but yeah, I didn't put them in the video because I've talked about them before. Simple as. And now the last thing, which is, I'm talking about one band on a split, which is Antediluvian. I need to get some of their full lengths. I just haven't actually managed to find any recently. I haven't got around to buying a new one from Nuclear War now. I've been a little bit behind on stuff because this year's just been so cool with so many good bands. But this is their split with Temple Nightside, who I've mentioned probably quite a few times on here, one of my favourite death metal bands from Australia. But Antediluvian is Canadian black and death metal who play very much the kind of bestial style as associated with Canada by this point. See Blasphemy flag in background for reference. But yeah, they've got a lot more to it than just like the kind of war metal sound as it's called. They've got a lot of those murky dissonant riffs you might associate with a band like Abyssal or why has my brain gone blank, Portal, those kinds of bands. But yeah, definitely Antediluvian is a force in underground black and death metal and should be checked out. And with that, that's 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. I've already got all the things for my next video, so that's probably going to appear like in the next week or so. My upload schedule is when I can be bothered to stop listening to records and when I've bought enough new records, so I'm inconsistent as ever. I just appreciate you guys coming and checking out these bands, supporting the bands and labels involved. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the music and stay tuned. Until next time, stay metal.